Before he was one of history's most feared dictators, he was a boy who dreamed of becoming an artist. This is the story of how a young man's broken dreams led to a nightmare for the entire world. Subscribe and turn on notifications to learn English with more unforgettable stories from history. It all started on a spring day on April 20th, 1889. The place was a small town in Austria called Braunau am Inn. A baby boy was born to a mother and father named Alois and Clara Hitler. They decided to name their son Adolf. As they held him, they could never have known that this small child would one day grow up to shake the entire world. As a young boy, Adolf was not very different from other children. He loved to be outside playing games under the sky. He had a big imagination and loved to draw pictures. In his mind, he dreamed of a big and important future. But his life at home was not always happy. His father, Alois, was a very strict man. He was serious and had clear ideas for his son's life. Alois wanted Adolf to follow in his footsteps. He wanted him to study hard, to be a good student, and to get a safe job in the government. But Adolf did not want this. He had a different dream, a dream that was his own. "I want to be an artist," he would often tell his mother Clara. He imagined himself painting beautiful pictures for the world to see. His mother loved him very much. She was a gentle and quiet woman, and she always listened to his dreams. She supported him in her own quiet way, but she did not have the power to change her husband's mind. So Adolf's childhood was often filled with a quiet struggle. There were many fights, many arguments with his father. Art is not a real job. His father would shout, his voice filling the small house. Adolf would often just stand there silent, trying to hide the tears in his eyes. He kept his dream locked inside his heart. Then, when Adolf was only 13 years old, something unexpected happened. His father died suddenly. Some people might have thought that Adolf would feel free now, but losing his father was difficult. It left an empty space, a hole in his young heart. After that, things at school started to change. Adolf began to skip his classes more and more. He was once a good student, but now he just didn't seem to care about his lessons. His teachers would look at his work and say, "Adolf is a smart boy, but he is lazy." All he really wanted to do was sit by himself and draw. When he finally finished school, Adolf packed his few belongings into a small bag. He was ready for a new life. He moved to Vienna, the beautiful capital of Austria. He was so full of hope and excitement. Standing in the big city, he looked around at the amazing buildings and busy streets. "Vienna is the city of art," he thought to himself. "This is where I will become a famous painter. This is my chance." With a hopeful heart, he applied to the most important art school in the city, the Academy of Fine Arts. He waited nervously for their answer, but when the letter finally came, his heart broke into pieces. He did not get in. The school told him in simple, direct words that his work was not good enough. Adolf felt a deep sense of shame and humiliation. It was a feeling he would never forget. "I'll try again," he told himself, trying to be strong. "I will show them." The next year, he practiced and prepared, and he applied to the school one more time. But the answer was the same. The school rejected him again. This time, the feeling was even worse. He was completely devastated. His dream was broken. Without a place in school and without a real job, Adolf's life in Vienna became very, very hard. He lived in tiny, dirty rooms that were cold in the winter. Sometimes he had no money for a room at all and had to sleep on the cold streets or in parks. To survive, he painted small pictures on postcards. He would sell these postcards to tourists for a little bit of money, just enough to buy some bread. He was often hungry and always alone. He would walk through the grand city and think to himself, "Why is life so unfair? Why is this happening to me? During this lonely and difficult time, more sad news came. His dear mother Clara passed away. Now he was truly alone in the world. He felt lost and very angry. He started to look for reasons for his failures, and he began to blame other people. It was easier than blaming himself. "It's not my fault," he would whisper to himself in the dark. "Someone else is responsible for my pain." In 1914, the world changed completely. The Great War, which we now call World War I, began. For Adolf, this was not a tragedy. Instead, he saw it as a chance, an opportunity to give his life meaning. He quickly joined the German army. For the first time in a long time, he felt like he belonged somewhere. Finally, he thought, I am part of something big, something important. Adolf was a brave soldier. He was not a high-ranking officer, but he did his job well. He carried messages across dangerous battlefields running while bullets and bombs exploded around him. For his courage, he received 2 medals. He was proud of them. But in 1918, after 4 long years of fighting, Germany lost the war. When Adolf heard the news, he was in a hospital recovering from an injury. He was furious. "Our leaders betrayed us," he shouted. "They gave up." He felt that Germany was a great nation that needed a strong leader to bring it back to power. After the war, Adolf returned to a Germany that was in chaos. The country was broken. People were poor, hungry, and angry. Many felt ashamed and humiliated by the war's end. Adolf saw this pain and anger in the streets and in the eyes of the people. He saw his own feelings reflected in the nation. And in their sadness, he saw his opportunity. He joined a small, unknown political group in the city of Munich. It was called the German Workers' Party. At their small meetings, Adolf discovered he had a hidden talent. He was a powerful speaker. When he spoke, people stopped and listened. His voice was filled with anger and passion. He spoke about the people's suffering, and he gave them promises. "Germany will be strong again," he would declare. "Germany will rise again." And slowly, person by person, more and more people started to listen. They started to follow him. Adolf soon became the leader of the group. He changed its name to the National Socialist German Workers' Party. The world would come to know them as the Nazi Party. He also designed a symbol for them, a red flag with a white circle and a black swastika in the middle. He held it up and declared, "This will become the most powerful symbol in the world." His speeches became famous. Soon, thousands of people were coming to hear him speak. They were drawn to his energy and his confidence. They believed in his dream of a strong, proud Germany. But Adolf's ideas were also very dangerous. He told the people that Germany's problems were the fault of certain groups. He wanted to build a Germany that was only for pure Germans, and his words began to plant seeds of hatred and division. After World War I, Germany was a country in deep trouble. So many people had no jobs. Food was expensive, and families were hungry. The country also had to pay a huge amount of money to other nations because they had lost the war. This was part of a treaty called the Treaty of Versailles. All of this made the German people feel very angry, sad, and hopeless. Adolf Hitler saw this pain. He understood their feelings. In his speeches, he told the people, "It is not your fault. I know who is to blame for our suffering." His words were like a fire. They gave people a sense of hope, but they also made them feel angry at others. Slowly but surely, the name Adolf Hitler became more and more popular all across Germany. Adolf worked tirelessly to make his Nazi party bigger and stronger. He organized big meetings with music flags and marches. His speeches were loud and emotional. He would shout, Germany can be great again. And the crowds would clap and cheer for him. They truly believed in his dream. In 1923, Adolf felt he was strong enough. He tried to take control of the government in the region of Bavaria by force. This event is called the Beer Hall Putsch, but it failed completely. The police stopped them, and Adolf was arrested. He was sent to jail, but he only stayed there for about 9 months. While he was in prison, Adolf wrote a book. He called it Mein Kampf, which means My Struggle in English. In this book, he wrote down all his ideas about the world, about Germany, and about power. He wrote that Germany needed to become powerful again. He also wrote that certain groups of people, especially Jewish people, were the enemy of Germany. The book was filled with hate. After he was released, the book became popular, and many Germans read it and started to believe in his dangerous ideas. After getting out of jail, Adolf decided to gain power in a different way. Not through force, but through politics. He worked even harder. Over the next few years, the Nazi Party grew and grew. And then, in 1933, it happened. Adolf Hitler was chosen to be the Chancellor of Germany. This is one of the country's top leadership positions. A new dark chapter in Germany's history was beginning. He promised the people jobs, a strong army, and a bright future. The people trusted him. They did not know what he was really planning to do next. As Chancellor, Adolf quickly made many changes. He started big projects to build new roads, factories, and schools. Because of these projects, more and more people got jobs. Germany started to look strong and successful again. The German people were happy. They looked at the new buildings and felt proud. Many said, "Hitler is a hero. He is saving our country." But behind this story of success, Adolf had other more dangerous plans. He took control of everything. He controlled the newspapers, the radio, and the schools. People were only allowed to hear and read about Nazi ideas. Children in schools were taught that they must believe in Adolf Hitler above all else. If anyone disagreed with him, if anyone spoke out against him, they were punished. Many were arrested and sent to prison. Adolf also created powerful new groups to enforce his control. He created a special loyal army called the SS. He also started a group for young boys called the Hitler Youth. In this group, boys were trained to be strong to fight and to believe in Nazi ideas without question. Everywhere you looked in Germany, you saw the swastika flag. It was on buildings, on uniforms, on everything. It became the symbol of Adolf's total power. His speeches became even more powerful and more frightening. He would stand in front of huge crowds and say, "Germany is the best country in the world. We are the strongest people. We will rule the world." And the crowds would cheer wildly, shouting, "Heil Hitler! Heil Hitler!" Then in 1939, Adolf made his boldest and most terrible move. He ordered his army to invade the neighboring country of Poland. This act of aggression was the final step that started World War II. Adolf's dream was no longer just about rebuilding Germany. His new dream was to take over all of Europe and make Germany the most powerful country in the world. At first, it seemed like his dream might come true. The German army was incredibly strong and well-trained. They won many battles, conquering country after country. But as the war continued for year after year, things began to go wrong. Adolf had made too many enemies, and while the war was happening, Adolf was doing something else, something truly terrible and secret. He wanted to create what he called a pure Germany. This meant he wanted to remove all Jewish people and many other groups of people who he believed did not belong. This horrific plan was called the Holocaust. It is one of the darkest and most painful chapters in all of human history. millions of innocent men, women, and children were taken from their homes and killed in special camps. By 1944, the tide of the war had turned. Germany was starting to lose. Adolf's enemies' countries like the United States, the Soviet Union, and Great Britain were too strong together. Bombs began to fall on German cities day and night. The same people who once called Adolf a hero now lived in fear and ruin. They began to lose hope. Adolf himself became paranoid. He trusted no one, not even his own generals. He spent most of his time hiding in a secret underground bunker in Berlin. By the end of 1944 and into 1945, Adolf Hitler's big dreams of ruling the world were falling apart. His army, which once seemed unstoppable, was now losing battles everywhere. From the east, the powerful Soviet Union was pushing the German army back closer and closer to Germany. At the same time, American and British soldiers were attacking from the west. German cities were being bombed day and night. Families lost their homes, and the German people began to turn against their leader. Why did we ever follow him? Many people asked each other in hushed, frightened voices. But Adolf did not want to give up. He sat deep underground in his bunker, giving orders to his generals. "We will not surrender," he would shout, even as his generals told him there was no hope. But deep inside, even Adolf knew the truth. The war was lost. In the first few months of 1945, Adolf almost never left his bunker. It was a place deep under the ground in the city of Berlin. The bunker was cold dark and made of concrete, but it was safe from the bombs that were falling on the city above. Inside, Adolf spent his final days planning for battles that could not be won. He was not completely alone. A few of his most loyal followers were with him, including his girlfriend, Eva Braun. Eva had been by his side for many years, though Adolf had always kept their relationship a secret from the public. She loved him, and she stayed with him even in his darkest days. Outside the thick walls of the bunker, the sound of war grew louder and louder every day. The Soviet army was now inside Berlin, fighting in the streets. "The end is near," his advisors whispered to him. Leaders from other countries sent messages begging Adolf to surrender. "Save the people of Germany," they said. But Adolf refused. He believed that surrendering was the ultimate sign of weakness. "If Germany loses this war," he said coldly, "it is because the German people were not strong enough." By April of 1945, the city of Berlin was completely surrounded. The Soviet army attacked the heart of the city from all sides. Buildings collapsed, fires burned everywhere, and people ran through the streets trying to find safety. On April 29, 1945, in the middle of all this chaos, Adolf made a very surprising decision. He married Eva Braun right there in the bunker. It was a small, simple ceremony with just a few people present. "You have always been by my side, Eva," Adolf said to her. Eva smiled a sad smile because she knew this was not a happy beginning. It was the end. After the short wedding, Adolf and Eva spent some quiet hours together. They talked about their lives and about everything that had happened. They both knew that their time was running out. The very next day, on April 30th, 1945, Adolf made his final decision. He called his closest followers into a room in the bunker. He told them, "I will not be captured alive." Adolf believed it was better to die by his own hand than to let his enemies capture him. He and Eva went into a small private room together. A few moments later, they took their own lives. Adolf Hitler was 56 years old. When the Soviet soldiers finally reached the bunker, they found the bodies of Adolf and Eva. The war in Europe ended just a few days later. Germany surrendered on May 8, 1945. The people of Germany were left with almost nothing. Their cities were in ruins. Adolf's dream of making Germany powerful had instead brought only destruction, death, and sorrow. Millions and millions of lives were lost because of his actions and his ideas. After Adolf's death, the world slowly began to rebuild. Germany eventually became a peaceful, democratic country. People around the world worked to make sure that the horrors of the Holocaust and World War II would be remembered so that such terrible events could never happen again. Today, the name Adolf Hitler is a powerful reminder. It reminds us of the dangers of hatred, of ambition that is not controlled by compassion, and of the terrible misuse of power. His story teaches us that every decision we make, big or small, helps to shape our future. Adolf's choices led to unimaginable pain and loss, not just for himself, but for millions of other people. This shows us that every action matters. We must always try to choose wisely and think about how our decisions will impact other people. His story also teaches us about the importance of compassion and unity. Hate and division only tear people apart. The world is a much better and safer place when we come together, when we respect each other, and when we work towards peace. Life is too short for anger and judgment. By trying to be kind and understanding, it can help to create a future that is filled with hope, not with regret. So please always remember to choose love over hate, to choose humility over pride, and to choose unity over division. These simple lessons can truly make our world a better place. This was the story of Adolf Hitler, a man whose life changed the world forever. It's a story of dreams' power and the terrible mistakes that led to tragedy. Remember, history is not just about learning about the past. It also teaches us how we can build a better and more peaceful future. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope this story was helpful for your English learning. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more stories that can help you learn English while exploring important parts of history. I will see you in the next story. Goodbye for now.